Manchester Temple, I think it was last week, requesting if I would like to do something, in pursuance of the Janmashtami festival, which is upcoming on the 12th, next week. So we had a few thoughts, and I was bouncing off some ideas, and I thought the best thing to do would be to go through Srimad Bhagavatam, some of the most beautiful verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are in the 10th canto. And hence, the topic for the next 3 days will be the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. My hope is that everyone who listens to these 3-day seminar would be, eager to study Srimad Bhagavatam at the end of these presentations. And they will relish the beauty and the nectar of the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Prabhu, there seems to be some background sound other than mine. So if you could mute everyone, please.
Yeah, I will mute, Prabhu. No problem. I'll mute.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Om Adnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So as we are approaching Janmashtami, what is more wonderful than the association of the Lord that we are going to get on Janmashtami? I think everyone is anticipating the wonderful festival of Janmashtami and building their consciousness for Janmashtami. And when I was approached to speak something about the Lord's appearance, the thought that came to my mind was, how can I, an ordinary person, speak about the Lord, the Supreme Lord, whom even Brahma cannot understand, whom even Ananta with his infinite mouths cannot glorify fully? How can a tiny jiva even attempt to speak about the glories of the Lord? And as I was contemplating that, and I was actually on an evening walk, I had a thought: the best person who can speak about the Lord is the Lord himself. Who other than Lord himself can speak about himself? And in Kali Yuga, the Lord himself has appeared in the beautiful form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he spoke to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in Jagannath Puri, he explained to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the real meaning of Vedanta Sutra. And then he explained how Srimad Bhagavatam is the sum and substance of all scriptures. But not only that, Srimad Bhagavatam is Kṛṣṇa himself. he picked one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, the very famous Atmaram verse, and he explained 61 meanings of the Atmaram verse. And then Mahaprabhu said to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, well, actually, there are infinite meanings possible through every single verse of Bhagavatam. It only depends on the speaker who is able to unpack those meanings. It depends on how the realization of how far the realization of the speaker can take the speaker. Since I have very little realization, my entire dependence is on Srila Prabhupada's purports, his beautiful translation, and also the commentaries of the previous acharyas. So Mahaprabhu described Bhagavat by saying, Krishna Tulya Bhagavat Vibhu Sarvashroy Prati Shloke Prati Akhare Nana Arthakoy. Krishna Tulya Bhagavat. Bhagavatam is Tulya, is equal to Krishna. There is no difference between Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna. What one can attain from Krishna, one can attain from Srimad Bhagavatam. Vibhu. Bhagavatam is complete, is huge, is full of divine potencies. Sarva Ashraya. Bhagavatam is a shelter for everyone. And Prati Shloke, in every verse, in fact, not only in every verse, Prati Akhare means in every syllable. Nana Arthakoy, there are innumerable meanings possible. Prashnottare Bhagavate Koriyache Nirdhar, Jahara Shravane Loke Lage Chamatkar. In the form of question and answer, Srimad Bhagavatam has been described. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in a receptive manner, one will really feel astonished. One will be amazed by the beauty of this scripture. So although sometimes we see some verses and we look at the meaning and we glance through them, actually each one of these verses have a lot of filling in between, which is not revealed to us because we have very limited knowledge and understanding. For fully revealing these verses of Bhagavatam, we have to rely on the commentaries of the acharyas and the descriptions that have been described so beautifully and in such relevant manner by Srila Prabhupada. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was of the same opinion. And especially if you look at the Bhagavatam, the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam is the summum bonum, is the sum and substance. And hence Srila Prabhupada came out with a Kṛṣṇa book even before he completed his, or rather reached the 10th canto. Before he could reach the 10th canto, he came out with the Kṛṣṇa book because he wanted to make sure the summum bonum is already made available. So Sridhar Swami writes in his commentary, Subodhini, Dashame dashamam lakshyam ashrita vigraham Shri Kṛṣṇākhyam param dhama jagad dhama namamitam. Dashame dashamam lakshyam. In the 10th canto, the 10th element of the Purana, which is Ashraya Tattva, the shelter of everyone, is described in the 10th canto. Ashrita Ashraya Vigraham, the beautiful form of that Ashraya Tattva, that supreme shelter of everyone, whom everyone must take shelter of. Ashrita Ashraya, that is described That personality, his name is Shri Kṛṣṇa Akhyam. His name is Shri Kṛṣṇa. Param Dhama. He is the supreme refuge for everyone. Jagat Dhama. He's the supreme refuge, and he's the refuge for the entire universe. Namamitam. I pay my humble obeisances to him, to that Lord Krishna. With this invocatory verse, Sridhar Swami starts his commentary of the 10th canto. And there are many other commentators that I would be referring to without mentioning their names. So the main commentators that we have in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, or rather the main commentaries we have, there are 9 commentaries in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. These are the 9 commentaries. The first one is by Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya is obviously our Sampradaya Acharya, our being Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Sridhar Swami, whom Mahaprabhu kept on the highest pedestal. And then we have Srinath Chakravarti, Narayan Bhatta, Sanatana Goswami, Jeev Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Baldev Vidyabhushan, and Vamshidhara. These are all the commentators who have written different commentaries on Bhagavatam. So today we will go through the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, the first chapter. And I would like to go through the verse systematically. If over the next 3 days I'm able to go through at least 16 verses, first 16 verses, which forms the Upakrama. Upakrama means the commencement or the beginning of the 10th canto, the entry, the door through which we enter the 10th canto. And you will see how beautiful these verses are, these 16 verses. If we can do more verses, that will be a bonus. And the way we understand these verses would be based on the beautiful, the beautiful commentaries that have been provided by these acharyas. So the analogy is given, just like the cow represents Srimad Bhagavatam, and the milk of the cow which is extracted by the calf, that calf represents the acharyas who can actually know how to best extract the milk. And in fact, the cow is eager to give her milk to the calf. So Bhagavatam is eager to reveal itself to the acharyas. And the acharyas, they are drinking that nectar. And in the process of drinking that nectar, the mouth of the calf is becoming frothy with the leftover milk that's flowing from the udders of the cow. And that milk which is dripping from the mouth of the calf, the acharyas, is the drops that we would try to relish. So this is the beautiful analogy given to help us understand the position of the acharyas and how without them it's practically impossible to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, because only a Bhagavat can explain a Bhagavat. Bhagavat is the book of Bhagavat, and Bhagavat is a person Bhagavat. So only a person Bhagavat can reveal the book of Bhagavat, who is non-different from Bhagavan. So all of you are aware of the 12 cantos. Bhagavatam has 12 cantos. And in the 9th canto of Bhagavatam, towards the end of the 9th canto, chapter number 24 is the last chapter of the 9th canto, Shukadeva Goswami has described to Maharaj Parikshit about the beautiful lineages of the solar and the lunar dynasties. So the Vamsha, Surya Vamsha and Chandra Vamsha or Soma Vamsha has been described in great detail. And in Surya Vamsha, in the 9th canto, Shukdev Goswami has described the pastimes of Lord Ram. And having described that, he then starts describing the Chandra Vamsha. And when he's described the Chandra Vamsha, he comes to the stage where he is describing the descendants of Yadu, King Yadu. And he starts describing the pastimes of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So when he describes the pastimes of Lord Kṛṣṇa, he describes it with this verse. And this is very beautiful. He speaks only 2 verses in the 9th canto about Lord Kṛṣṇa's pastime. And the verses are Jato Gatah Pitrigrihad Vrajam Editartho. Jataha, the Lord appeared. Gataha, then the Lord left. Pitrigrihad, from Mathura, the Lord left. So he appeared and he left. Where did he go? Vrajam. He went to a forest. That forest was also known as Vraja. Why did he go there? Arthaha, what purpose? Editarthaha, to increase the love of the devotees. Because the primary purpose of the Lord's appearance was to increase the love of his devotees for him. That's the main purpose of his appearance. Hence, he appeared and he went to Vraja. Hatva Ripun, and then he came back to Mathura and he killed Kamsa. But even before that, he killed many Ripu. Ripu means enemies in Vrindavan. Then what did he do? Then he went to Dwarka. In Dwarka, Sutta Shatani, he had hundreds of children. Krutorudaraha Utpadyateshu, from his many wives that he had married, he produced hundreds of sons. What did he do then? Purushaha Kratubhi Samije Atmanam. Then the Supreme Lord Kratubhi, with many sacrifices, he worshipped Samije, he worshipped Atmanam, he worshipped his own self. With the sacrifices, he was offering the sacrifices Om Vishnave Swaha. So he was actually offering sacrifices to himself, because there is nobody other than him who can receive these sacrifices. And Atma Nigamam, the Nigama, just like Bhagavatam is mentioned as Nigama Kalpataroho Galitam Phalam. Nigama means the Vedas. Atma Nigamam, the Vedas which have appeared from the Lord. It's Kṛṣṇa, from whose beautiful flute the Vedas have appeared. And that Vedas, whatever the Vedas are establishing to promote that Prathayan, to promote those Vedas, Janeshu, amongst the different people in general, he acted in accordance with the religious principles. Then what did he do? Prithvyasavai Guru Bharam Kshapayan Kurunam. Then on the earth, the Guru means the weight of the earth. Bharam, Guru Bharam, heavy weight. Guru means heavy, Bharam means weight. The heavy weight of the earth, because of all these sinful people who had appeared. Once he killed those sinful people, then he created misunderstanding. Antaha Samutta Kalina. Kali means disagreement. Kali means dispute. The word Kali is similar to the word Kalaha, which means disputes. So in Kali Yuga, everyone has disputes. Husband and wife, son and daughter, and with parents. Everyone has disputes. And employer, employee, everywhere there's disputes. So the Lord created disputes, Kalina. Through disputes, he vanquished his own Kuru dynasty when his pastime was coming to an end. Yudhi Bhupacham Vaha, and through fights between all the demoniac kings. He destroyed all of them, but he gave them the highest liberation. Why and how? Drishtya vidhuya. Vidhuya, he purified them. Drishtya, simply by his glance, he purified them. The Lord did not have to do anything but glance on all of these kings, impious kings. So even on the battle of Kurukshetra, when Arjuna and Krishna went in the middle of the battle to observe the armies of both sides, as the Lord observed the army, every single person attained the highest destination of the shelter of the Lord, just by his observing those armies. So this is mentioned here. Drishtya vidhuya, simply by his seeing them, he purified them. Vijaye jayam udvigoshya. Vijaya is another name for Arjuna. He was called Vijaya because he had Jaya by his side. And Jaya is another name in Vishnu Sahasranam of Lord Krishna or Vishnu. So Arjuna was always victorious because he always had Krishna by his side. Vijaye Jayam Udvighosha. He declared Arjuna as victorious at the end of the Kurukshetra war. And then Prochya, he spoke. Uddhavaya, he spoke to Uddhava. This was right at the end of his pastimes. He spoke to Uddhava. Cha param samagat swadhama. And then he returned to his own abode. So essentially, what did he do? He appeared, he left, he increased the love of his devotees, killed demons, had children, many wives, had sacrifices, promoted Vedas, Vedic principles. He destroyed his own family, killed the kings, made Arjuna victorious, spoke to Uddhava, and then he left for his own abode. And that was it. So in these two verses, Shukdev Goswami finished the 10th canto. So there's nothing more he says. He just says these two verses. Nothing more. And at that point, he tells, so this is on day 5. As we know, Maharaj Parikshit had 7 days to live. On day 5, middle of day 5, they reached the 9th canto. And then Maharaj Parikshit was very eager because you see in the 2nd canto, Shukdev Goswami had said, Dashamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanam Iha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmanah. Dashamasya Vishuddhyartham, for purifying one's consciousness to be able to enter the 10th topic. The 10th topic is Ashraya Tattva, which is in the 10th canto. So to purify one's consciousness, Navanam Iha Lakshanam. The 9 topics have been described so that one can purify one's consciousness with the 9 topics to be able to enter the 10th. So they are the prerequisites for entering the 10th. So Maharaj Parikshit was very, very eager. He understood that now we have come to a point where he will start describing Lord Krishna's pastime. Krishna will now appear. And from appearance to how the Lord went back, everything shall be described. But instead, what did Shukdev Goswami do? He just described in summary in 2 verses the entire 10th canto. And he stopped. And he told Maharaj Parikshit, you see, you have been listening to me for a long time now. You have not taken rest. You have not had anything to drink or eat. And you have been so focused. I request you to, go and take some rest. Maybe you can, after you decide that you're free from your tiredness, you can come back and then we will continue. But instead, Shukdev Goswami, when he said that, Parikshit Maharaj was actually a little bit disturbed, and instead, Maharaj Parikshit started speaking. What did Maharaj Parikshit say? Shri Rajovacha. The king said. So I'm not going to mention the names of all these different acharyas, otherwise it sounds a little confusing. So without mentioning names or without saying that the acharyas say, I will start telling the meanings. So for example, Sanatana Goswami gives the meaning that Shri here means that the king was endowed with devotion. Shri means Srimati Radharani or Hladini Shakti or devotional service. And Shri Rajovacha means King Parikshit was already full of devotion, having heard the 9 cantos. Yeah. So similarly, I won't mention names of all the different acharyas, but just mention the meanings. So Shri Rajovacha. The king was very fortunate. Another meaning of Shri is that he was very, very fortunate. What did he say? Kathito Vamsa Vistaro. The king said to Shukdev Goswami, you have spoken Kathitaha Vamsa Vistaraha. You have spoken in great depth about the Vamsa. Vamsa means the lineage. Definitely, you have spoken about the lineage, the dynasties of the Soma Surya Yoho, of the lunar and the solar dynasties. Although you have spoken in so much depth, he was still wanting to hear more about Kṛṣṇa. So he says, although you have spoken in depth, Vistaro Yadoho. Yadoho means of Yadu, which is actually in the next verse. You have also spoken about Yadu. Bhavata. Bhavata means by you. See, this is respectful. When in Sanskrit you say Bhavan, it is respectful you. Like in Old English, they would say thou. So respectful you. So out of respect, Parikshit Maharaj is telling Shukdev Goswami, the speaker is being respected. And said, Bhavata, by you, Soma Surya Yoho, the moon and the sun dynasty. Now, why is it Soma Surya Yoho? Why is it lunar and solar, not solar and lunar dynasties? Soma is mentioned first, lunar is mentioned first, because Lord Kṛṣṇa appears in the lunar dynasty. So Parikshit Maharaj wanted to make a point that you have mentioned the lunar dynasty and the solar dynasty in detail, but you still haven't mentioned about the pastimes of the Lord. So Soma here refers to the moon, in whose dynasty Lord Kṛṣṇa appeared. Radnam, of all the kings of these 2 dynasties, you have listed all the kings. Cha, not only the kings, Cha means and. So without saying, subtly he's saying, you've mentioned all the dynasties of the solar, of the moon god and the solar and lunar dynasties. And you've also mentioned about the pastimes of the Lord. So not just the kings, but also the Lord, like Lord Ramachandra. Ubhaya Vamshyanam, of these both dynasties, having given me so much detailed, elaborate descriptions, you are now choosing to pause. So he says, Charitam, you have described all these pastimes. Paramadbhutam, these pastimes were adbhuta. I'm really excited. Shukdev Goswami, I'm really excited. Having heard the 9 cantos, Parama Adbhutam, most Adbhuta, most astonishing, amazing. You mentioned about Pururava marrying Urvashi, who was the damsel from the heavens. And then how he was maddened after her love, and how ultimately Urvashi left, and how Urvashi was actually born from the lap of Nar Narayan Rishi. So she was actually a direct expansion from the lap of Nar Narayan Rishi. This is so amazing. And you mentioned about kings like King Indravaha, or King, his other name is King Kakutstha. He, while fighting with Indra, he actually mounted on the back of Indra, and Indra carried him like a bull. Such great kings you mentioned. These pastimes are adbhuta. They are amazing, beautiful, wonderful. You've mentioned the character of these kings. Charitam param adbhutam. And then he's saying, you've also mentioned, but then subtly by saying these things, he's also saying that please mention now about Lord Kṛṣṇa. So in verse 2, he says, Yadosya dharma shilasya. And then while you were talking about the moon dynasty, you mentioned Yadu, who appears in the moon dynasty. Dharma shilasya. And Yadu, he is dharma shila. So here, dharma, shila means one who is committed. Dharma shila means one who is committed to dharma. So Yadu, Haribol. So Yadu was a king who was committed to dharma. How was Yadu Maharaj committed to dharma? So actually Bhagavatam describes that the real meaning of dharma, or rather the real dharma, dharmo mad bhakti krita proktaha. Dharmo mad bhakti krit proktaha. In 11th canto we find that dharma means to perform my devotional service. That is real dharma. So King Yadu, he was a great devotee of Lord. Such a great devotee that he, in fact, in the prayers of Queen Kunti, we find Kechidahur ajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye. Some people say that the unborn has been born. Ajam jatam. Aja, unborn. Jata, he's been born. The unborn has been born. The Lord who is unborn has appeared. Kechidahur ajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye. Why has he appeared? Why has he been born? He's born to increase the kirti, the fame of Yadu. Yado priyasya, because Yadu Maharaj is such a great devotee of the Lord. Anvavaye, in his lineage, Malayasyeva Chandanam, just like the Malaya, in the Malaya forest, sandalwood, Chandana. The sandalwood trees appear in the Malaya forest to increase the fame of Malaya forest, so that everyone will glorify, oh, this is sandalwood from the Malaya forest. So just to increase the glory of the Malaya forest, the sandalwood has appeared. Nobody has actually planted the sandalwood there. The sandalwood has just appeared there to glorify the Malaya forest. Similarly, the analogy is given that Lord Kṛṣṇa of his own accord appeared in the dynasty of Yadu Maharaj to glorify Yadu Maharaj. So, Yadoscha Dharma Shilasya, because he was a great devotee of the Lord, Nitaram Muni Sattama. You have described Yadu, who was a great devotee of the Lord, who was strictly sticking to the process of devotional service and all religious principles. Nitaram Muni Sattama. He was always sticking to those principles. Muni Sattama. You are Muni. Muni means Manana Shila. One who is constantly thinking. He is Muni. Sattama. Sattama. Sattama means amongst the devotees, you are the best of all the devotees. So you are the best of devotees and you have glorified another devotee. Because to glorify a devotee, ordinary people cannot glorify a devotee. Only a devotee can truly glorify another devotee. So here Parikshit Maharaj is saying, because you are Sattama, Muni Sattama, you are the best of devotees, you are able to glorify Yadu Maharaj, who was the best of devotees. But now I have another request, Parikshit says. Tatra amshena avtirnasya. There one amsha appeared. Amshena means a portion appeared. Avatirnasya means avatar or appeared. Vishnoho, of Vishnu. Viryani shamshanaha. Naha means for us, for our benefit. Shamsha, please glorify. Viryani, the great activities of the Amsha of Vishnu. So here the Acharyas have given beautiful understanding. And they have, in fact, actually there's also another thing that comes to mind. Yadu Maharaj was a great devotee of the Lord. He was a son of King Yayati. So King Yayati, he had married two queens. He had two queens, Devyani and Sarmishtha. Devyani was the daughter of Shukracharya, the guru of the demons, and Sarmishtha was the daughter of the demoniac king Vrushaparva. So both Sharmishtha and Devyani were wives of Yayati, and from Devyani, Yayati had Yadu and Turvasu, and from Sarmishtha he had Dhruyu, Anu, and Puru. So Puru is very famous actually, and Puru, we've all heard about Puru, and from Puru, in Puru's dynasty appeared another great king called Kuru, and in Kuru's dynasty appeared Vichitravirya, and then we know through Vyasadev and Amba Ambika, we have the we have the Pandavas' parents, Dhritarashtra, and Pandavas and Kauravas' parents, Dhritarashtra and Pandu. So the whole lineage from Puru to Kuru to the Pandavas is one side of the Yayati's genealogy. The other side of Yayati's genealogy is Yadu. And in Yadu, we have Lord Kṛṣṇa. So that's why they are called as Yadavas, and the Pandavas are called as, well, actually the Pandavas are also Kurus, but they are not called Kauravas because the Kaurava title was retained by the sons of Dhritarashtra, and they said, we are the true Kauravas and you are simply Pandavas. You cannot call yourself Kauravas. We are the only rightful heirs to the throne of the Kurus, Indraprastha. So that is the history. But there is another beautiful history that King Yadu actually, so King Yayati, he had two wives, Devyani, daughter of Shukracharya, and Sarmishtha, the daughter of the Asura king, Vrushaparva. And Shukracharya allowed Yayati to marry Sarmishtha, the other lady, only on the condition that he will not have any children from Sarmishtha. He will only have children with Devyani. However, Yayati went ahead and he had 3 children from Sarmishtha, Dhruyu, Anu, and Puru. As a result of that, Shukracharya became very angry and he cursed Yayati that he will become an old man and he will, die. So although he was youthful, he cursed him to become an old man. When Yayati was cursed to become an old man, King Yayati approached all of his sons starting with Yadu, who was the eldest. He approached Yadu and he asked Yadu, can you please trade your youth or your young age with my old age? So you become old and you give me your youth. Can you please trade? And Yadu Maharaj said, no, I cannot. I will not follow your instructions. Whereas Puru actually agreed, and Puru traded his youth with Yayati, and Yayati became young and Puru became old. So there may be a question, how can Yadu be called as Dharmashila if he went against Dharma? So the Acharyas have clarified that actually Yadu was a great devotee, and he declined exchanging his youth for old age because he knew Yayati would use his youth to squander away his youth for material pursuits. Whereas Yadu wanted to utilize his youth for Krishna consciousness. So actually, there is a Lord Kapila says in third canto somewhere, I think it is chapter 24, 25 somewhere. He says, Mat krite chakta karmanah. For me, if you give up ordinary religion, tyakta swajana bandhava. If you give up swajana and bandhava, means if you give up your family members for me, then that is perfect. There is nothing wrong. Then you're not going against Dharma. So that is what Yadu did. So although apparently he went against Dharma, he really did not, because his purpose to retain youthfulness was not for sense enjoyment, but for performing devotional service. And here then it says, Tatra amshena avatirnasya Vishnor viryani samshanaha. So now Parikshit Maharaj is saying, please explain about that avatar of Lord Kṛṣṇa, who appeared. He was an amsha of Vishnu. This is one understanding, that he was an amsha of Vishnu. So Sridhar Swami, of course, I can't resist, I'm giving names of the acharyas, but yeah, so acharyas explain that amsha here of Vishnu is only mentioned because that is the ordinary thinking of ordinary people. Pratiti abhiprayena uktam, Sridhar Swami says. Only for ordinary people they think Krishna is avatar of Vishnu. So just to keep the ordinary people thinking in ordinary way, because in Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter Krishna says, Naham prakashah sarvasya, I don't reveal myself to everyone. Yoga maya samavritaha, I cover them with Yoga Maya, and I am covered by Yoga Maya, so I don't reveal myself to everyone, so ordinary people don't understand me. And hence, Sridhar Swami says here, it says, he appeared, that Krishna is an amsha of Vishnu. Then, the other acharyas, they say different things. So, amshena shamsha. Another meaning is, please describe, this word amshena is connected to shamsha, which means please describe a little bit, some portion of the Supreme Lord who was Vishnu himself. Please describe at least a little bit. Amshena shamsha. Another way of understanding is, he avtirnasya amshena saha. Amshena saha means along with his amsha, he who appeared. Vishnu who appeared along with his other amsha, and Vishnu is here Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa who appeared along with his amsha Balaram. And that is the meaning that Srila Prabhupada takes in his translation. That please explain about the Lord Kṛṣṇa who appeared along with his amsha Balaram. Another meaning of amsha is that the Lord, when he appeared, he only partially dispelled the illusion of the world. He did not he did not dispel illusion of every single living entity of the planet Earth. He only dispelled illusion of those who were dedicated to him, who were devoted to him. So only Amsha, only a portion benefited from his appearance in that sense. Although everyone was joyful, not everyone could understand him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And hence the word Amsha is used. Yet another meaning of Amsha is, and actually Srinath Chakravarti says it should be read not as Amsha but Amshena. Amsha means he who is the owner of all the Amshas. Amshanam Samuhu Amshaha. The sum and substance of all the expansions is Amsha. So here, if you read it, Tatra Amshena, it is still correct. The reading is still correct. So Srinath Chakravarti reads it like that, and he says here, actually the meaning is, he who is the sum and substance of all incarnations, Kṛṣṇa, and who appeared, and who is Vishnu himself, as in the Supreme Lord himself, please explain, please describe, please glorify his activities. So that is the true purport of this second verse, a beautiful verse. Actually, there are other descriptions as well. So there is one description which is quite confusing in Vishnu Puran. In Vishnu Puran, it is mentioned in one place that Lord Vishnu, he raised his black hair and his white hair. And he said, from these two portions, Kṛṣṇa and Balram will appear. So that is very mysterious. How do you explain that? So actually, Jiva Goswami comes to our rescue in his Sandarbhas and also in his commentaries. And obviously the other Acharyas, Gaudiya Acharyas, have followed suit. So Jiva Goswami explains that what Vishnu had done was to explain to Brahma and the demigods that he just raised his hair, one white hair and one black hair from his head. And by raising those hair on his head, not really plucking them out, but raising them, showing them by raising them. Lord Vishnu said, just like these hairs are there, black and white, on my head, these two lords who will appear, they are, on my head, as in they are respectable by me. So they are worthy of being on my head, meaning they are respectable by me. And the words black and white were only meant to signify the color of the Lord. So Lord Kṛṣṇa and Balram. So the black and the white incarnation. So it's all very sort of, he was given a beautiful explanation. It's grammatical and analytical and empirical. So we don't need to go into that, but sufficient to say that, some people do quote that section of Vishnu Puran. But if we read it carefully in its original, then we understand that the meaning is that Lord Vishnu's white hair and black hair was just meant to identify the colors of Lord Kṛṣṇa and Lord Balram, and the fact that they were on his head was to represent that they both, Lord Kṛṣṇa and Lord Balram, are worthy of his respect, Vishnu's respect. So that's how we see one simple verse. There are so many facets and so many beautiful points that come out. And then, after asking this, Parikshit Maharaj continues, Avatirya Yadur Vamshe. He appeared, Kṛṣṇa, he appeared in Yadu's Vamsha. Why did he not appear in anyone else's Vamsha? Because Yadu was the great devotee of the Lord. He appeared in Yaduvamsha, Bhagavan, he is Bhagavan himself. Krishna appeared there. He is Bhagavan himself. He is what kind of Bhagavan? Bhuta Bhavanaha. Bhuta means living entities. Bhuta also means the whole universe. And he is the protector of the universe. He is the person who creates attraction for him. So bhavana, just like we have the word bhava, which means love. So bhuta bhavanaha also means he who increases love for himself. So the Lord appears really to increase our love for him. Why does Krishna ultimately appear? To kill the demons, that's paritranaya sadhunam is the first. To actually raise the consciousness and help the saintly to come to him. That's the first, paritranaya sadhunam. And then second purpose is vinashaya chadushkritam, Bhagavad Gita says. So the secondary purpose is, by the way, he also kills the demons. So here, bhuta bhavanaha, in a very sweet way, means to increase the love of the living entities for him. So he is a personality who increases the love for of the living entities for him. So Bhu has actually three meanings in Sanskrit according to the Dhatu part of Panini. Bhu praptau means, Bhu literally means, from which the word bhavana comes, it literally means to protect or to attain, protect. So bhuta bhavana literally means he who protects all living entities, he who protects the whole cosmos or universe. Another meaning is bhu avakalpane, he who produces love. So here the meaning of bhuta bhavana is one who is the most attractive for the whole universe. And the third meaning is bhu sattayam, which means manifestation. So he who is the cause of the cosmic manifestation or all the living entities and the universes. So that's the third meaning of bhuta bhavanaha. So Parikshit Maharaj is telling Shukadeva Goswami, that Lord who created this universe, who is my protector, I'm going to die in 7 days, he can protect me, and whose love I seek, bhuta bhavanaha. That Lord, please describe him. Bhagavan bhuta bhavanaha. Krutvan yani vishvatma. And what did he do? Kritavan, what did he do? Yani vishvatma. He is the soul of the whole universe. He is the super soul. Vishva Atma, Vishwasya Atma. He is the soul of the entire universe. Tani no vada vistarat. Tani, all those pastimes of his, naha, to us. Vada, please speak. Vistarat. Vistarat, please speak in details, elaborate details. So you can see out of ecstasy, Shukdev Goswami, he thinks now is the opportunity. Here is a listener who really is eager. And so we see that actually the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is the largest. In fact, it's divided into two, Purvardha and Uttarardha, the first half and the second half. And it has 90 chapters, the largest. The second canto is the shortest with only 10 chapters. The first canto is 19 chapters, for example. But we see 9th canto has 24 chapters, 10th canto, 90 chapters, the largest, because the instruction here, I beg your pardon, not the instruction, but the request here from Parikshit Maharaj to Shukadeva Goswami is Vistarat, please speak in detail. So Shukadeva Goswami becomes excited and speaks 90 chapters about the Supreme Lord Krishna. And Tani Naha. Naha means for us. In fact, even the previous verse, he says, Parikshit Maharaj says, Vishnoho Viryani Shamsha Naha, for us. Speak for us. So why us? He could have said, Madarthe, for me you speak. But he says, Naha, for us. So we see that Parikshit Maharaj, although he is the one who is the most afflicted and in imminent danger of losing his life in 7 days, he's still concerned, even in that situation, he's still concerned about everyone who was there in attendance, all the 60,000 rishis who were there. He was asking on their behalf, please, for us, for our benefit, please speak the pastimes of Lord Krishna in detail. Vistarat, in great detail. Then Parikshit Maharaj continues and he says in the 4th verse, he says, Nivritta Tarshair Upagiyamanat. Nivritta Tarshair. You see, whenever a medicine is given, especially in Ayurveda, there are 2 parts. But even in, I think, modern medicine, there are 2 aspects to medical, when you go to a doctor, he will give you a medicine and then he gives you a few do's and don'ts. The do's and don'ts, if you don't follow, then the medicine won't be really effective. So you have to follow the do's and don'ts and you have to take the medicine. Similarly, here in this verse, many different meanings are given. And I would like to extract all of those different meanings for you to relish. So the first understanding which is given is that A and B that you see here, the first 2 things, are mentioned for, as the do's and don'ts. So Nivritta Tarshair, one who has no thirst. Tarsha, Nivritta. Nivritta means, Nivritta actually means there's no more left, nothing more left, literally. Yeah. So, for example, if you're retired, and if you want to say in Sanskrit, I am retired, you'll say aham nivrittaha. Nivrittaha literally means retired, means nothing left, doing nothing productive, non-productive. I've become non-productive. So Nivritta Tarsai, one whose material desires have been vanquished. Tarsha means thirst. And the thirst has completely vanquished. Such a person, Upagiyamanat, having vanquished his thirst, if he is Upagiyamanat, if he is glorifying the Supreme Lord, relishing the glorification of the Supreme Lord. Giyamana means singing, sweet singing. Actually, the word Giyamana, Acharyas explain, is used here because the pastimes of the Lord are, in reality, they are all sung. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, at least for most part, give and take a few sections of a few cantos, and predominantly the 5th canto is in prose, but rest of all the cantos are in poetry. So, for example, this particular verse itself is in Upendra Vajra meter. So there are different meters in Sanskrit, and you sing those meters in a certain way. So you could sing this particular verse, for instance, as Nivritta Tarshay Rupagiyamana Bhava Ushadat Shotra Mano Virama Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanuvada Puman Virajeta Vina Pashupna. So you can see it's a song. And so here it said, those who have no material desires left, they glorify the Lord in these beautiful songs. But upagiyamana, upa means to be near, to be near something. So be to near whom? So it means to be near a guru, to be near a person who has actually realized the true purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. So upagiyamana means in parampara. So Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that point. He says upagiyamana means in parampara. When the spiritual master conveys it to his disciple, it is upagiyamana. Nivruttatarshe upagiyamana. So when the glorification is done, it's relished with when one has no longer any thirst for material desire, then it can be properly relished. So what is the first do's and don'ts? So don'ts is number A, to have no material desire. That's a tall order, isn't it? So, but to truly relish the Lord's pastimes, one has to reach that point ultimately. Regardless, one should continue relishing, because just like a jaundiced person, it is said, is given sugar regularly. Initially when he takes sugar, the jaundiced person thinks, well, this is so bitter. He tastes sugar as very bitter. But over time, the bitterness goes away. He can relish the sweetness. Similarly, initially we may not have much relish for Srimad Bhagavatam and the pastimes of the Lord. But over time, as we continue to take the medicine, it will become relishable. But like in Ayurveda, there is Aushadhi, medicine, and there is do's and don'ts, which is called Pathya. So if you don't follow the Pathya, then the Aushadhi will not be effective. So here the Pathya is Nivruttatarsha, one who is really working on, at least working on, seriously working, sincerely working on getting rid of their material thirst. I want this, I want that, I want this enjoyment, that enjoyment. And if one is working on that and then relishing the pastimes of the Lord, then this pastime of the Lord becomes like Bhavaushadhat. Then it becomes Aushadha. Aushadha means medicine. Bhava Aushadha. So, like we have a disease and we need a medicine. What is the disease? The disease is being in this world, bound to this material world. That is the disease. And what is the medicine? The medicine is the katha of the Lord. So the medicine can be taken, but should be taken with the pathya. And what is the pathya? One should be working on one's material desires, reducing them. Chotra manobhiramat. Then what will happen? Then the ears and the mind, Chotra means Shrotra means ears, Mana means mind, Abhirama. Then the mind and ears will become very, very happy. Actually, the word Abhirama, the prefix Abhi, the Upasarga Abhi, literally also means it will continue or proceed life after life. So if one hears the Katha of the Lord, which is like medicine for getting rid of this disease of material existence, then this particular medicine will not just have its effect in this life, Abhiramat, it will produce its effect life after life. So such wonderful medicine, and hence, if somebody rejects this medicine, the next line says, Ka uttama shloka guna anuvadat. The guna anuvad, the discussion about the beautiful characteristics, the discussion about the descriptions of the Lord, uttama shloka, who is described in the most beautiful verses, in the best of verses, Uttama Shloka, in the best of verses, the Lord is described. If one has no interest, Puman Virajeta, one who rejects, who can reject this medicine? Unless Vina, unless and otherwise, Pashugnat, he is the killer of an animal. Pashu means animal, Gna means to kill. So only a killer of animal. So what is the meaning of a killer of animal or a butcher? Why does this verse talk about a butcher of all things? It seems a little bit puzzling that he's saying, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, who other than a butcher will not be interested in hearing about the pastimes of the Lord? So what is the meaning of butcher? So the meaning of butcher, and the acharyas have explained, but let me also explain a few other things. So here, different acharyas have taken different views. So one acharya says that actually 5 types of people are mentioned here. First is Nivritta Tarshai, those who have no material desires, they are the liberated. So the liberated, they hear, they do Upagiyamanat, they continue to glorify the Lord. Bhava Aushadat, those who want a medicine for this material existence, as in those who want to be liberated, number B. So this is point number B. Even they continue to glorify the Lord. So those who are liberated, Mukta, they glorify the Lord. Those who are desiring liberation, B, Bhava Ushadat, they want to take this medicine. Mumukshu, they are known as Mumukshu, those who are desirous of moksha. And then C is Shotra Mano Abhiramat, those who want to enjoy their ears and mind and senses. So materialistic people, Vishayi. So even the materialists, they will benefit from this. So the liberated benefit from Katha. We can hear from 10th canto, we see the gopis, they are also interested in the Katha of the Lord. They sing Tava Katha Amritam, Tapta Jivanam, Kavibhiriditam, Kalmashapaham. So the Kalmasha, the burning sensation of this material world is removed by the Katha of the Lord, even for the Mukta like the gopis. So A is Nivritta Tarshai, those who are Muktas, they benefit from the glories of the Lord. Those who want to become Mukta, Mumukshu, they also benefit. And those who are Vishayi, materialists, sense enjoyers, even they can benefit. And Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanuvadat. And in fact, even so, if you extend that further, it is said, Uttama Shloka Gunanuvadat means those who know Kṛṣṇa is the supreme and want to have bhakti of the Lord, even they can benefit. So the liberated, those who want to be liberated, wants liberation, those who are materialist, those who want bhakti, even they can benefit from the glorification of the Lord. And lastly, Pashugnat means butcher, or those who are most sinful. Some acharyas say it refers to Daitya, means the demons, even those who are demoniac. Even they can benefit from the glorification of the Lord. So they have categorized in these different ways, the acharyas have categorized this. And even the word Pashugnat has been categorized in different ways. For example, Pashugna has also been described as the killer of the soul. Apagata Shuk. Shuk means this Vina Apashugnat. If you take the meaning Vina Apashugnat, then Apa means Apagata means to remove. Shuk means shoka or misery. And Gna means to kill. So the killer pillar of the soul. Soul is that spiritual substance, ultimately, which is blissful. So to kill the soul is the meaning that they take. Apashugnat. Apashugnat. Yeah. But and Srila Prabhupada also takes that meaning, that who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self. He takes that meaning as well. So because why are the materialists, ordinary materialists, separated from the killer of the soul? Or if you take the other meaning, one who is a butcher, what is the reason they are separated? Because it is said that there is actually a beautiful verse. A person was a saintly person, a saint was approached by different people asking them for blessings. So the saint, he gave the blessings to different people in different ways. So there were 4 people who came to the saint for blessings. The first person was the prince. The second person was son of a Brahmana or son of a Muni. And the third person was the sadhu. And the fourth person was a hunter or a butcher. So these 4 people, they'll go to a sage for blessing. And they were 4 together, they had approached the sage. They are 4 different people, they don't know each other, but they had approached the sage. And the sage gives them blessing. What blessing does he give? The sage says, Rajaputra Chiramjiva, Majiva Muniputraka, Rajaputra Chiranjiva. Prince to the prince, he says, "Oh prince, may you live long." Why does he say that? May you live long? Because this is your only opportunity to burn your karma, good karma. Some people, they are born with a silver spoon. They say, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. They are born with such opulence and affluent families. And they think, oh, I'm so fortunate. Actually, they are just burning their karma. And once, even if somebody goes to Brahmaloka, does so much pious activities, they go to Brahmaloka, ultimately, they will fall down. Because it says, Brahma, Bhagavad Gita, it says, Brahma bhuvanaloka punaravartina Arjuna. So, even if you go up to Brahmaloka, you will fall down, come back when your pious credits are finished. So, for this prince, the sage is saying, may you enjoy as long as possible. Because once your enjoyment is finished, once your karma bank balance is finished, then you have to suffer. So I would let you enjoy as long as possible, because everything will be finished after that. So Rajaputra Chiranjiva, he says. And then he says, Majiva Muniputraka. He tells the son of the sage, the son of a Brahmana who is doing a lot of tapasya. He says, may you die. He gives him the blessing. Because why does he say that? Because he says, if you die now, while you're performing all these austerities, then there is some hope for you, that you may get a higher birth. You may raise your consciousness. But if you don't die now, and in the future, if you lose your consciousness, then, it may be a different destination. So better die now. Muniputraka. Then to the sadhu who had come, Vaishnava who had come for blessings, he says, Jiva ma marava sadho. You don't live and you don't die. Jiva va marava. Why? Because a Vaishnava, whether he lives or dies, there is no difference. Even while living, he is absorbed in the Lord. Even in dying, he will be absorbed in the Lord. Absorbed in the Lord meaning absorbed in the service, pastimes, thinking, meditation of the Lord. So Vaishnava doesn't matter whether he lives or dies. And then the sage says to the butcher, Vyagha ma jiva ma mara. So to the butcher he says, you don't deserve to live and you don't deserve to die. Because while living, you give trouble to other living entities. And while dying, you will be rotting in hell. So there's suffering for you now, and there's suffering for you in the future. So hence, what is the solution for this kind of a person, the butcher? The solution for that person also is to glorify the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So you see, all of these verses are upakrama. Upakrama meaning precursor or introductory or building up. And hence in olden days, people would actually spend a fortnight before Janmashtami reading chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 of the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. Now you might say, for a fortnight, just 3 chapters. That's because the reading is not superficial. The reading is meant to be by not just, sometimes when people go to the pool and they dip their toes in the pool. So it's not a toe dipping exercise. It's actually plunging in the deep end, and not in a swimming pool, but in the great Atlantic Ocean. Rasarnava, Bhakti Rasarnava, in the great ocean of Bhakti Rasa. So that's why it is recommended that we spend serious amount of time on going through these beautiful verses. And the 16 verses are the primary verses for Upakrama. And I thought we would focus on those verses. So the next verse onwards, we will see Parikshit Maharaj is going to ask about his own life. He's going to bring his own life into picture and his own family members into picture. And then he's going to ask some very beautiful questions related, and he's going to connect himself with Krishna. And he's going to prove that he's a deserving candidate to hear this pastime of the Lord. Because nothing can be received by one who does not have the adhikar. And that's true for everything in this world. One cannot just walk in to a university and say, I want to become a doctor. One has to go through the rigor of passing so many entrance exams and getting nice grades to be able to enter into the course. And even after entering and enrolling into the course, one has to continue giving exams before attaining the degree. Similarly, on the path of devotional service, one has to go through layers and layers of purification before being able to enter into the pastimes of the Lord. So I made this small attempt to share with you what I've heard from senior Vaishnavas. I read from Srila Prabhupada's books and my personal study of the various commentaries of the Acharyas. We shall continue with this session over the next 2 days. And at this point, I would open up, we have about 7 minutes. I would open up for the audience to ask any questions or make any comments or any corrections based on what I've spoken so far. If there are questions in relation to what's coming, then I might put them on parking lot or hold for now, and then we will come back to that. But yeah, is it okay to ask questions?
Sure, Prabhu. Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. Would you just come off the screen, share the screen? And if anybody has any questions, they can unmute themselves and and ask questions or comments also, as Prabhuji mentioned. I'll just give a minute before I say something. So looks like they're still drinking the nectar through the ear holes, Prabhu. Prabhu, so firstly, from my side, thank you so much for doing this wonderful job. This one verse, Nivruttatar Shair verse, you've explained everything, but this has got so much meaning. You've explained so nicely. And if I want to just put in one sentence that you're kindly taking us through the entrance exam. So this is like, kindly preparing our consciousness before we understand the Lord's appearance and activities. So thank you so much, and it is greatly appreciated. I am actually looking forward to the other sessions from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your kind words. And yeah, I'm very grateful that you gave me this opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. Ultimately, only Bhagavatam can reveal Bhagavan. And we can only become, the assistants to that calf, and whatever is dripping from the mouth of that calf. Actually, there's a very beautiful verse which is coming up soon, which is very similar. I'll hold the details for now.
Well, for now.
Yeah. So thank you. So does anyone have questions or comments?
No
corrections?
Said anything, Prabhu. No questions, it seems. Hopefully, if you could kindly fix your camera tomorrow, then we can see you as well. That would be even better.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to do that.
Right. Prabhu, thank you so much. And we got just one announcement about upcoming Janmashtami and Vyas Puja festival. So we'll just make that. This is mainly for the Manchester congregation. Radhamohan Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So would you kindly give heads up with regards to Janmashtami festival, please?
Okay, so Hare Krishna, dear devotees. First of all, thank you very much, Kartik Chandra Prabhu, for building our consciousness for the Janmashtami. So this seminar of 3 days will take us to the Janmashtami, which is coming on Wednesday. You might have received the communications today regarding Janmashtami, that we are doing a virtual Janmashtami, not in a physical in a temple or somewhere outside. So hopefully you must have received the communications by now. If not, then let us know. You can just send us a message on our temple WhatsApp group, and we'll send you the details of the festival. The details are not yet on the website. It will be there very much soon, and on our Facebook page as well. So please go through the communication, and if at all you want to take some active participation, if you want to show your altar on that day, then how to show your altar, your decoration of Janmashtami, then you can also do so as part of the program on the virtual Janmashtami. And also if your children would like to make some presentation, then also they can do. So these two participative section of the festival is there. So please go through the communications, and if you have any questions or comments, you can just get in touch with temple email or on our WhatsApp, and we'll try to get back to you. If it is something is not clear, please get back to us. And if you have not received the communications at all, then also send the message to the temple WhatsApp, and we'll get back to you. That's about me, Prabhuji. Konata Shabu. Anything else? Have I missed anything?
No, that's fine. And if as we we mentioned, you mentioned on Monday that if you would like prasadam to be delivered, then please kindly register. So then prasadam will be delivered to your home. That is the only registration. Otherwise, you don't need to register. Am I right, Radhamohan Prabhu?
Yes, yes. If you want to receive prasadam by post, then please go and register yourself on the Google form. Or if you want to your children to take part, or if you want to show the darshan of your altar, then also you need to register. So then we know who you are, and we can get in touch with you. So for these three things, if you want prasadam, or if you want altar darshan to be shown on the virtual Janmashtami, or if you want children to take part, then you have to register. So those informations are there in communications. Please kindly do so.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. And so day after Janmashtami, we are celebrating Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja, and again the details were sent out today. So there will be Guru Puja in the morning. Again, that will be broadcasted from the temple. And at 12 o'clock, we are offering Bhoga, followed by Pushpanjali, followed by Harti. That will be again broadcasted from the temple. If anybody would like to prepare an item for a Prabhupada, then please contact Radha Vinod Prabhu. Then he can offer on behalf of us. And in the evening, we have arranged a special program that will start from 6 o'clock with Abhishek, and devotees have opportunity to read out their appreciation for Srila Prabhupada, and we will also try and show some video clips of Prabhupada speaking. So thank you very much. These are the details. And we look forward to seeing all enthusiastic participation in Janmashtami, upcoming Janmashtami and Vyas Puja. And also, if anybody would like to donate anything to these festivals, please do so. Either you can contact me or one of the temple management, or directly transport to the temple bank account. So the seminar will continue tomorrow and the day after. Tomorrow, it will start at the same time, 7:30 p.m. And on Sunday, it will be Sunday feast lecture starting from 1 o'clock. That's it from me, Radhamohan Prabhu. Anything else? Did I miss?
I think you covered probably.
Okay. So Hare Krishna, and hoping to see you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Kartik Chandra Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.